línea. Alert 360 ofrece descuentos en servicios de seguridad a personal militar, veteranos, primeros respondientes, educadores y personal hospitalario. No seas víctima, da un paso fuerte hoy. Llame a Rosana Torres al 832-863-8574 para su consulta gratuita.
Broadcasting live from Houston, from the space city to the world, you are watching Now Media Television.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Your Personal Real Estate. I'm your host, Michelle Briggs. Each show begins with meaningful insightful commentary on various subjects, leaving you with a choice. Do you agree or not? We skim the surface of these intriguing subjects, urging you to dig deeper and form your own opinions. Today I want to talk about having the courage to fail. This show has been my ultimate courage to fail, and I personally feel it's been a success. I've learned so much. I acknowledge that maybe not so much with my delivery, still working on that. You know, having that perfect lighting or that perfect set, stumbling on probably the beginning of each and every show, and I continue to have the courage to fail. It is part of who I am. The fear of failure is something that everyone experiences at some point in time in their lives. It can be scary. It can be tempting to avoid at all cost. But I believe that if we want to achieve things bigger than ourselves or what we've ever dreamed ourselves to be, we need to be willing to have the courage to fail. Now, failure can be a valuable learning experience. It can teach us what we need to do differently in the future. It can help us build a resilience and determination that we maybe did not even know about ourselves. No matter how scared I am, how many times my self-talk tells me not to do whatever that scary thing is, I keep moving forward. Have the courage to fail. I invite you to look at taking steps to develop the courage to fail. Know that everyone makes mistakes. Give yourself the grace to know that you do not have to be perfect at everything that you do. Learn from the new experience that you're taking on. Have the courage to fail. When you fail, take time to reflect on what went wrong. Not to punish yourself. It is a higher level of emotional intelligence when you can look at who you could have been or what you could have done differently and what actions you will take to do it differently in the future. Have the courage to fail. Don't give up. Failure is not the end of the world. Keep trying until you succeed. Celebrate your successes, even the small ones. This will help you build your confidence and motivation. Self-love is priceless. Know that you're growing, evolving, learning. Have the courage to fail. Now, failure is something not to be feared. Embrace the opportunities to learn to grow. So if you're feeling scared to try something new, remember, failure is not the end of the world. It is just a step on the path of success. So I invite you to have the courage to fail. I will end with one of my favorite quotes. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Winston Churchill. And we'll be right back after this commercial break.
The best bilingual news, business talk, and technology content 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You are watching Now Media Television, the first bilingual media network in the United States.
El tema está en los países.
Liderazgo y experiencia.
Nuestro país debe meterse en las grandes discusiones y en los grandes debates.
Son parte de una carrera exitosa.
Se juegan dos estados.
Él es referente en el periodismo.
No definen el 2024.
Javier Solórzano te espera cada noche para llevarte las noticias, el análisis y las entrevistas más importantes de lo que sucede día a día en el país.
Este es el referente de la noche.
República H, con Sofía García.
Una república que necesita saber cuál es el camino correcto. En República H te diremos qué pasa en cada rincón del país. ¿Qué pasa en tu estado? ¿Qué hace tu gobernador, presidente municipal o alcalde en materia de seguridad, salud, desarrollo, economía o servicios básicos para atender a su población? Tenemos desplegados más de 70 corresponsales en todo el país y más allá de las fronteras. República H, de lunes a viernes a las 8 de la noche por Heraldo Televisión.
Palitos y Bolitas es la catedral de la explicación. Este programa es la única parada que necesitas para entender los porqués y cómo de todo lo que pasa en México y el mundo. Lunes a viernes, 7 p.m. por Heraldo Televisión.
Welcome back, everyone. Michelle Briggs here, your host for Your Personal Real Estate. We are having another conversation with Andrew Glisson. Now, Andrew's been with us before. He was with us last week talking about Airbnbs, and there was so much more to cover for that. So Airbnbs, think about it. Now, how are you doing today, Andrew?
I'm great, Michelle. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you again for last week. I loved our conversation about the Airbnb, so I'm still thinking about that now when I see you. Now, one of the things, just jumping right into today, is, I'm hearing from all types of real estate investors. I mean, it's becoming more difficult to find good investments. What's your perspective on that?
It is. I mean, everybody is chasing, the darling asset class in real estate, and it was self-storage for a while. People are chasing contractor garages. Some people are chasing multifamily. I mean, the reality is the interest rate's gone up for all of us. And so it's gotten harder to find good deals. Pricing's gone up. So sellers have an unrealistic expectation in every single asset class across real estate about what their properties are worth. And the reality is that I'm going to run it through a calculator. I'm either going to make money or I'm not. And if I don't make money, then I'm not going to buy it. And so I think it has gotten harder. And there are still a lot of people that are willing to pay insane amounts of money for assets that don't generate a yield. And that always blows my mind. But I think, especially in the single family world, which is where I live, like every investment that I make in real estate is a single family home, which is 1 to 4 units. That's it. So my multifamily properties are 4 plexes. That's it. And so sellers want crazy amounts of money. Some sellers are realistic. A lot of sellers are crazy. But most of the investors that invest in single family are not very sophisticated. They don't use calculators. They have a simple, do I make cash flow off of this? And they don't put enough expenses in there. They don't know what their cash flow is. And so I think it's gotten very hard to make money on real estate. I have to look at 100 deals to buy one. I used to look at about 10 deals to buy one. And so, but I think there's a lot of people out there that are investing in single family that are, that are buying assets that are not profitable at all. So yeah, I think it's gotten a lot harder. That was a long-winded answer. Sorry about that, but yeah.
Now, there's a lot of FOMO, the fear of missing out. When values went through the roof, last year, is that still happening?
Yeah, especially in the single family space. I think there are a lot of people who are dying to get into real estate, and they're willing to buy whatever it is, wherever it is, hoping that they're going to make money at some point. And hope is not a strategy. I say that all the time. You have to know what your numbers are going into deals. And people are just scared that they're not going to be able to get into real estate. So they're buying bad assets right now that don't pencil. And I'll tell you, institutional investors, I'm an institutional investor. When you get to a certain point, institutional investors, they run every single deal through a calculator and either makes sense or it doesn't make sense. I developed my own calculator. I use it. Every big institutional investor that buys homes at scale, they have their own calculator that they've developed that they use. They're unemotional about it. And so the fear of missing out, we're not buying houses right now. So if you're a single family rental investor, you got to take the lead from people like us. Slow down, be very intentional, be very cautious on the things that you're buying, and don't buy a bad deal right now at all. Save your money.
There you go, save your money. Now, how are you underwriting deals to make sure it's actually a worthwhile investment?
So we underwrite on a calculator. I mean, I built one. I have a course that I try to teach investors how to save their money, how to strategically buy real estate. And I built an investment level, an institutional investment level calculator that tells you if you're going to make money or not. And that's how I underwrite. I use my own calculator. And so it basically, the inputs are the property, the renovation cost, the loan, the budget, and then what spits out is a return ratio that says you're going to make money or you're not going to make money. One of the ratios that I like a lot is internal rate of return. And so I'm going to have to beat on any real estate deal that I'm investing in. I've got to beat the S&P 500 because real estate's risky. It takes a lot of time. Houses don't always appreciate. They can go down. Rents don't always appreciate. Rents can go down. We're seeing it go down in a lot of municipalities. So I'm very critical when I underwrite properties. I run it through my deal calculator. And if I can't beat the S&P or some easy investments, look at CDs right now. You can get a 9-month CD for 6.5%. And people are still buying single family homes and not even making 6.5%. So again, unemotional, run it through a deal calculator. You use mine. It's at sfruniversity.com. Use a deal calculator and make sure you're going to make money. That's how I underwrite deals, and I think everybody ought to do that same thing right.
Yeah. So, sorry about that. Now, are there any tax incentives in place for single-family investors?
Yeah. So, look, in the multifamily world, a lot of people will give tax incentives. Local municipalities do big deals and invest in real estate. If you're doing heavy lift renovation projects. Unfortunately, unless you're buying single family homes at scale and there's some sort of local municipality, you ought to ask those questions. Is there a tax incentive for me? I'm buying 15 houses or something like that. The only real tax incentive for this is in the depreciation world. So there is a thing called cost segregation that can be applied to single families. And what that is in a nutshell, really simply, is you're able to write income off of your property on an accelerated basis in certain categories. And so not everything that you do to a house you have to wait 27.5 years to depreciate. You can depreciate certain items in that house over 15 and over 5 years. And there was a law passed a couple of years ago where you can accelerate those 5 and 15-year categories to 100% in year one. It's 80% in 2023, but it was 100% last year. But that can improve your cash flow massively. I did a deal this year where my all-in cost was $120,000, and the depreciation tax incentive on that, I'm going to be able to write about $60,000 as an active loss off my taxes. Now, I'm a real estate professional, so that's the most advantageous, tax advantage investor type when it comes to real estate. But depreciation and specifically cost segregation is a huge tax incentive. And a lot of people don't know that that's out there for single family, but it makes a real material impact if you are a full-time real estate investor. Still can be impactful if you have passive, if you're a passive investor, but cost segregation is a big one.
So talk us through the financing piece. How are you financing deals now?
So it's a lot of cold calls. I'm cold calling, private lenders. I'm cold calling local banks. I'm cold calling regional banks. I have open dialogues with hard money lenders. It really is the financing piece. A lot of what I do is refinancing and financing portfolios, by 12, 24, 25 properties at a time. So I'm getting portfolio loans, which are commercial loan products. They're a 5-year loan product, amortized over 20 years. A lot of times it's prime, the prime rate plus, some points. But there are banks out there that are underwriting to their own internal profitability. And so, while some banks may be prime plus 1 and put you over 8 now, there are some banks that are still underwriting in the 7s because they're working off an internal profit spreadsheet. So you really have to jump on the phone, and you've got to do a lot of work on the phone, calling banks, calling every lender, keeping dialogues open, introducing those folks, to your company. One thing you have to keep in mind on the lending side is that banks only have a certain allocation internally for single family rentals. And so if you want a part of that allocation, then you're going to have to go and impress that banker. You're going to have to tell them about you. We have a spreadsheet, or not a spreadsheet, but I have a PowerPoint deck. Every time I talk to a new lender, then I'm going to go through the PowerPoint deck. It's 10 pages. This is everything about me. This is what I've done. This is my experience. And so you have to dig in and work real hard. It's not super easy to, you know, borrow money like it was. But I want banks to carve out some allocation for me. So I'm gonna get to know them. I'm gonna cold call a lot of banks. Again, long answer, but still possible, still doable. You can't beat, you know, a 7+ interest rate right now, but there's ways to make the deal, you know, more favorable.
Got it. Now, we started the show today talking about having the courage to fail. Can you give an example of a courage to fail that you've experienced yourself?
Yeah, I mean, look, failure has been, you know, a part of my growing process in the business. And so I have, you know, paid contractors that walked off jobs and never showed back up. I have spent too much money buying houses. I've spent, you know, over budget on renovations. I mean, I've definitely made a lot of mistakes when it comes to, I mean, all aspects of, you know, buying and investing in single family rentals. I mean, the thing I guess that I haven't done is made mistakes that, you know, could put the whole company at jeopardy. So they're kind of smaller mistakes that you grow over time. You don't risk everything, you know, all in, you know, one deal. It's okay to be aggressive, not too aggressive. Fortunately, knock on wood, we've been able to, you know, kind of manage those failures along the way. But yeah, I mean, you can't be scared of your own shadow when you get into this business. There's a lot of money at stake when you're buying houses. There's a lot of money at stake when you're renovating. There's a lot on the line, but you just have to do some good analysis to make sure, you know, if I do lose some money here, if I do fail a little bit, you're going to fail a little bit, not a lot. But I'm definitely,
right.
I mean, you don't have a couple hundred houses and not have any failures along the way. So that's definitely been a part of the success story here.
Well, you definitely learned something from it. Having the courage to fail, you can learn from that and grow your business and so many things. So Andrew, thank you again for being with us this week, and thank you for answering that question I just threw at you. But, you know, I agree that everyone really should have the courage to fail, because that's truly where our successes lie, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Thanks for having me again, Michelle.
Thank you, Andrew.
See ya.
And we'll be right back after this commercial break.
According to the FBI, a robbery occurs every 13 seconds. Homes and businesses without a reliable security system are 300% more likely to be burglarized. Alert 360 provides custom-tailored rock-solid security solutions to residential and commercial customers. Whether it's home security, fire and carbon monoxide detection, flood protection, connected senior care, managed video surveillance solutions, 24/7 alarm monitoring, and life safety, Alert 360 is your ideal solution. In addition, Alert 360 has a smart home and business integrations like access control and video shield for a complete peace of mind, protecting what matters the most and reducing energy costs with our top-of-the-line automatic scheduling functions. Alert 360 offers security services discounts to military personnel, veterans, first responders, educators, and hospital personnel. Don't be a victim. Take a strong step today. Call Rosana Torres at 832-863-8574 for your free consultation.
Hey, Lily says AT&T is giving everyone their best deals.
Minus the air quotes.
Best deals.
No need to wink. Others say they give everyone a deal, but not everyone gets the best deal.
Told you, the best deals are for everyone here, with a choice of plans.
You were right.
Is she always right?
Always.
At AT&T, we give everyone our best deals on every smartphone.
Hello, my name is Charles Sanders, and I'm a personal injury attorney with the Rose Sanders Law Firm, based in Texas and with offices in Houston, Dallas, McAllen, and El Paso. We assist individuals throughout the entire state who have suffered harm due to the negligence of another person. With my experience as an insurance adjuster, I understand and I know exactly how to counter the strategies employed by insurance companies, and I'm bringing this knowledge to you. We handle a wide variety of situations ranging from car accidents to defamation and unsafe property conditions. We are here to provide support and legal representation at no cost to you. Call us today at 713-221-3773.
The tax and bookkeeping team is key to any successful business. At Gunderson's Bookkeeping, our passion is to help small business owners grow, be profitable, and to prosper. We specialize in supporting small to mid-sized business owners who want to hire a full-time or even a part-time bookkeeper, but just do not have the funds. In addition, we free business owners from the tedious tasks of bookkeeping and help them focus on their business operations, their growth, and profitability. Gunderson's Bookkeeping is your business solutions partner offering a broad range of services to meet the needs of our clients. A profitable business needs accurate and reliable books, so take a strong step and call us today for your personal, no-risk consultation.
Hey, are you a small business owner that's struggling to double or triple your revenue and profits? My name is Michael Rager. I'm your business guide with Teach Your Business to Fitch. Our success operating system will help you double or triple your profits every 2 to 3 years while actually maintaining some semblance of a home life. Call us at 713-201-5559 and we'll help you become a real success.
The best bilingual news, business talk, and technology content 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You are watching Now Media Television, the first bilingual media network in the United States.
¿Quieres tener el mejor recuerdo de bodas, original, exclusivo y fuera de lo común? Entra a www.larevistadetuboda.mx o visítanos en nuestra página de Instagram o Facebook. Descubre todo lo que puede quedar plasmado en el recuerdo que siempre soñaste. Reportajes, entrevistas, un diseño personalizado, sesiones fotográficas y mucho más. Solo en la revista de tu boda.
Welcome back, everyone. Michelle Briggs, your host for Your Personal Real Estate. Our next guest is Courtney Hughes. She's been with us before. She was with us last week. We were talking about different types of paints, right? The flat, the eggshell. You remember that, right? So how are you doing, Courtney?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me back. As always, I love being here.
Yes, thank you for being with us. Now, as you watch today, we open the show with talking about having the courage to fail. And I'm asking each guest to talk a little bit about that because as business owners, you have to have the courage to fail to just start the business. So Courtney, is there anything, can you identify with that and share with us maybe a courage to fail inside of your business?
Yeah, absolutely. You are right. You do have to take chances and roll the dice. And I think one of the scariest parts about that, especially in our business, is we are customer facing, right? So you always want to do right by the customers, but you're also being judged by the customers and your peers, on a social network, but also, in a real one-to-one basis. I think one of the scariest things for us in starting our business was kind of handing over the reins. Yes, I am a face of our business, but I am not going to be the one that's actually applying the paint within your home. So how did we find those right crews? How do we trust someone else to carry on our name and do the job? And a lot of that is trial and error.
Yeah.
A lot of that is trusting someone that says that they're professional. Yes, we vet them. Yes, we ask to see work. But we do have to keep a close eye and give everybody a chance, right?
Right.
we have seen some failures. And when that has happened, we have corrected on our own time and dime. But we've also found, through that, we have found the miraculous teams that we work with, which is a beautiful thing. And so with the courage to fail, you can also have the courage to blossom and grow that business, and also kind of, give you the confidence that you need to actually scale or make it what you want it to be.
Exactly. And that goes into really our topic today, because we want to know, how do you choose the right paint company? Because as Andrew shared, he spoke to us in saying that he's hired contractors that he's paid them and they've never shown up, right? Things happen, and that's part of owning a business. So let's talk about, how do you choose the right paint company? So what do we start with, Courtney? How do we choose?
Oh man, it's almost like an interview process, right? We have questions for our clients, like, what are we painting? What colors and finishes are we wanting to do? We've kind of been through that, you and I. We've done a segment on that. I don't think that we've actually touched on, what should the home buyer or homeowner, be asking the paint company? I think that one of the first questions that you should ask is, so before you touch anything, what does your prep process look like? Are you just going to come in my home and, plop a paint can down and start painting the wall? Or are you actually going to protect my ground, or, the floors that I have, or the carpets that I have? What does the process look like before you even pick up a brush?
Now, with that is very important, because as a homeowner, you do not want paint in your carpet. It just does not work. And if this is home that you're going to be listing for sale, you definitely do not want that damage. You do not want the paint on your hardwood floors or anything of that nature. So I love that you're mentioning the prep and really how important that is, and really understanding. Now, what's next? After they've answered the question on how they prep, what's next?
If it were me, I would want to know, who is actually going to be coming into my home and doing the physical labor? And how many years of experience do they have? How many years of experience do they have in the field? And also, how many years have they worked with you specifically? Are they individuals that you trust? Additionally to that, the next question I would ask are, do you have any references? Do you have visual references that I can see? I've contacted you to do the interior of my home. What are some of the other interiors that you have done? Can you show me pictures of before and afters? And on top of that, do you have any phone numbers of names of people that I can call that can actually speak to the work that you have done, your crews, you personally, so that you can get kind of a full look at who you are inviting into your home or into your business to tackle the work that you need to get done.
Exactly, because they are an extension of you, an extension of 360. And when they meet you, or meet a consultant or a team member, the integrity is there, the knowledge is there. But at the end of the day, like you said, Courtney's not going to be the one, right, brushing the paint on the wall. So you want to find out exactly who are they bringing in, who the subcontractors. Are they insured, right? Is that another question, to make sure that they're insured?
Yes, look at you being on top of it. It's definitely a question that I would ask. And it's something that truly does separate 360 Painting from other competitors. A lot of people out there are not insured. So what does that mean? Does it really matter to you if someone is insured or not? It should, because as a homeowner, if someone slips, on a rug that isn't fastened to the ground properly, or, God forbid something happen and, they fall down the stairs, who does that fall upon? And it can get tricky. And the truth is, we are insured. Our guys are insured, so that if something does happen, we are able to step in and take care of our team. Not only our team, but also your home. What happens if we do get a paint drip on your carpet, or on your curtains, or on something, right? What happens? Well, again, we are insured for that purpose. So if there is some crazy accident, which I will say we do the prep work so that they're to mitigate that from the beginning. But say something does happen. Everyone is, we are still human. We are insured so that, we will take care of that and figure out a way to make it right, to clean it up, to repair, or to replace. That is why you want a team that is insured.
Right. And I don't, Courtney, I have not had the opportunity to work with you personally. But like I said, your referrals, your references. I mean, look at your website. I mean, and you say, you don't believe everything on the internet. Look at her website. Because it speaks to who she is, who her business is, and the integrity that she has inside of that, and making sure that you are getting the best possible care. So after you found out they have their insurance and they are insured, and really everyone just call 360, but I'm just saying, what's next? I mean, you've asked about the prep work, you know that they're insured, they've told you who their team is or who they will be. What's next for that? I mean, the day of the job that's going to begin, or when the contract is signed, what's next after that conversation?
So I'd actually back it up before then. I would want to know, what is my estimate actually going to look like? How detailed is it going to be? I think we've all been there where we've gotten an estimate from someone and it's just a number written down on a sheet of paper saying, hey, it's going to be $500 to cover this. And you're like, wait a minute, what does this actually cover? Is it my walls? And oftentimes we get so excited at this, bid that we're like, yes, we're going to sign. Sometimes if it's too good to be true, it's likely too good to be true. So one, I would ask, what do your estimates look like? For instance, 360, if you wanted us to come in and paint your interior, we are going to go room by room. We are going to capture a photo of the room in question. We will list, we are going to do baseboards, we are going to do your walls, we are going to do your crown molding, and then it'll list the number of coats that we are also going to do. Which leads me to my next question that I would ask. How many coats do you apply on the wall? And what paint are you actually going to put on my wall?
I'll let her ask the question.
Yeah. I think that's a really big question. There are specific paints that are backed by the manufacturer. Those are going to be your premium paints. And to be honest, we only use our premium paints because we want that extra layer of guarantee from the manufacturer that should this product fail after we have prepped and done everything properly, that you are going to come in and replace it on your own dime. I will tell you that we have not had that problem yet, which is a wonderful thing. But what paint are you going to do? And that goes back to let's make sure that we're using the right paint on the right substrate. Let's make sure that we're using a urethane or an oil base on our millwork and the correct, acrylic or latex paint for our walls and our ceilings. I think it's really important to ask that, and also ask the number of coats, because truthfully, a single coat is only good if you are doing the exact same shade on the walls and you don't have any serious damage to the walls. If you're just looking for a fresh and brightener, you can do a single coat, but typically you need 2 coats in order to get and achieve the color that you are looking to have on the walls.
Yes, and we talked about this before. If you're changing the color on the wall, then you have a primer, right? The primer that goes on the wall. I've learned so much from you, Courtney. So the primer that goes on the wall. Okay, so you have your you have the quote, and it's detailed, and you do want to have a detailed quote, because you do not want them to skip a step. I mean, it should reflect 1 coat of the primer, 2 coats of the paint. What paint is it? What is the finishing of the paint? I mean, there were so many. We just talked about this last week. Is the different finishes, right? So what do we do? I guess at that point, the job is on.
Hopefully. The job is on as soon as we get a signature.
Right.
As soon as we get a signature, and then, of course, in the 360 world, we typically do a 30% down payment, which is another question that I would ask. What is the down payment look like? And then when do we pay upon completion? Is it upon completion? Are there installments that we need to do? And that'll vary depending on every paint company that you work with. It also depends on the size of the job. If you own a 3-story, very large, 8,000 square foot home, we're not getting it done in a week. No. So it'll take a little bit of time. So at that point, yes, you should probably expect to have a down payment, installments, and then the rest upon completion. Another really great question I think that you should ask your painters is, what do you do to prepare the surfaces? I feel like oftentimes as homeowners, you're like, okay, I want my walls painted, and you may have large holes in the wall. Those are not typically just included within a paint. That actually takes a lot of time for us to, and sometimes sheetrock repair work, honestly. So it's a really big question to ask. Are you going to handle and take care of, the nail marks that are here? I have some peeling. Are you going to spot prime these areas so that I have perfect walls? And then sometimes, if you have found that perfect place to hang this piece of art, you also want to tell your painters, don't touch this. Don't you dare move this single thing. We're going to put this artwork right back up. So asking those questions in advance makes it so that you have an estimate that fully encompasses everything that you want and need. And it also ensures that the paint crews that come in know what they're doing and that there's no surprises on either end, because nobody, and I repeat, nobody likes getting into a job and then saying, okay, we can do that, but it'll be an additional X amount. No one likes the nickel and dime feeling. We understand that.
Just get that right up front.
Yeah.
Right, just get that right up front. Okay, so talk a little bit about your website. We just have a couple of minutes, but I don't want to step over this because I mentioned just a few moments ago, her website has many, many things that is beneficial for someone to possibly take a look and hire you. But just to take a minute and talk about your website.
Our website is wonderful. We agree, so thank you. If you go to our website, which is 360painting.com/West-Houston, you'll find that we have a lot of examples of the work that we do. So exteriors, interiors. You'll also see a lot of reviews on there. So that's another thing. It's another reference or referral that you can reference in choosing a paint company. But we also talk about the values of our company at its core. So, what's our mission? Like, what do we actually stand for? Those are really important questions to ask a paint company as well. And you can find that all on our website. So thank you for asking about that. We appreciate it.
Definitely. You don't see that a whole lot with paint companies. So yeah. I really appreciate, you and what you do for our community in itself. So again, Courtney, thank you for being with us. We do appreciate you and your wealth of knowledge. We look forward to seeing you again and touching on another aspect of paint that we had no idea about. So thank you again, Courtney. And everyone, we'll be right back after this commercial break.
The best bilingual news, business talk, and technology content 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You are watching Now Media Television, the first bilingual media network in the United States.
El tema está en los países.
Liderazgo y experiencia.
Nuestro país debe meterse en las grandes discusiones y en los grandes debates.
Son parte de una carrera exitosa.
Se juegan dos estados.
Él es referente en el periodismo.
No definen el 2024.
Javier Solórzano te espera cada noche para llevarte las noticias, el análisis y las entrevistas más importantes de lo que sucede día a día en el país.
Este es el referente de la noche.
República H, con Sofía García.
Una república que necesita saber cuál es el camino correcto. En República H te diremos qué pasa en cada rincón del país. ¿Qué pasa en tu estado? ¿Qué hace tu gobernador, presidente municipal o alcalde en materia de seguridad, salud, desarrollo, economía o servicios básicos para atender a su población? Tenemos desplegados más de 70 corresponsales en todo el país y más allá de las fronteras. República H, de lunes a viernes a las 8 de la noche por Heraldo Televisión.
Palitos y Bolitas es la catedral de la explicación. Este programa es la única parada que necesitas para entender los porqués y cómo de todo lo que pasa en México y el mundo. Lunes a viernes, 7 p.m. por Heraldo Televisión.
Welcome back, everyone. Our next guest is TJ Hilscher. Now, TJ is the owner of HG Home Inspections. How are you doing, TJ?
I'm doing fantastic. How about yourself, Michelle?
Wonderful. I am so glad that you are with us today. Now, TJ continues to be a wealth of knowledge, as are other guests. I mean, on this show, we have professionals that know their business and provide the knowledge and teaching us different aspects of the real estate industry. Now, today we're going to be talking about the importance of pre-listing home inspections. Yes, I did say that. Pre-listing home inspections. Now, TJ, talk to us a little bit about that and why it's important. But also, you know what, let's take a step back, because I did start the show today with a courage to fail. And this kind of speaks to that with the pre-listing, right? So, TJ, share with us the courage to fail and what that looks like for you inside of your business.
You know, when we'll put the pre-listing inspections on the back burner for just one moment. When I started in the business, home inspection was a little different back then, and there weren't a lot of big teams in Houston. There was a couple that people have heard of, some of my competitors, but not many, and most of us were on our own. And when you talk about courage to fail, my second inspection out of school, fresh, new inspector, have nobody to call to ask any questions, turns out to be basically a 13,000 square foot home on Lake Conroe. New construction. The home had every feature you could possibly imagine in a home, including panic rooms. It had several hidden passageways. It was actually the courage to fail, because I took it on and I went out there and I did the inspection. And it was actually for the builder. Some of his contractors had bailed on him, and he wanted to know what was left on it. A year later, I had an opportunity to inspect the same home. Went back in, and I thought, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see what this inspection report looks like compared to the way they are today. My quality's gotten so much better. I was such a better inspector. And then I opened the report up, and I look at it, and I realize I did a pretty good job the first time. So since then, I've inspected the home one more time, and it tends to be the home that keeps on giving. I keep getting called back to inspect the same home every couple of years for some reason.
Well, you know it.
I know the home very well now. I feel like it's a second home.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because, again, the courage to fail is really doing something that's super scary. And if you're fresh right out of inspection, getting your degree or inspection certification, like that had to have been a scary moment.
Oh, yes. Very scary.
Right? So have the courage to fail, step through those, work through fear, right? False evidence appearing real. We've all heard that. All right. So the topic at hand, importance of pre-listing home inspections. Tell us why it's so important.
Well, first of all, I know that makes your skin crawl. As a real estate agent, and I can say I've been a real estate agent for 23 years. I'm still licensed, but I don't do my own transactions. I let the realtors deal with real estate transactions on that end. I help with the home inspection part of it. So that's really my expertise. But over the last couple of years, we've seen a very, very big uptick in pre-listing inspections. And Particularly, I had one agent that's very successful. He does a lot of pre-listing inspections, and he and I had a chance to talk. And I told him, I said, I really want to see more people do these. He said, "Oh my gosh, TJ, the problem is most people look at it totally different than I do." And I said, "Well, of course, how so? Explain." He said, "Well, when I get a pre-listing inspection, I know your company will do the inspection, give the report to us. We can correct any problems we see on the report that are easy and simple fixes. You'll come back out for a small fee, take those things off the report, and then we've got a report that shows the true condition of the home." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "What we do is we post that with the listing on MLS, and that way we have disclosed everything about the home." And I said, "Well, what made you start doing this?" And his answer was simple. He said, I had a lady that was really in a bind that needed to sell her home, and she gave me her bottom line, and we accepted a bottom line offer. And when they got it inspected, it needed $30,000 worth of work. And they were well beneath the point where they could accept an offer and do $30,000 worth of work. So at that point, he started doing pre-listing inspections. And what he told me is when people put in an offer and it says as is, he lets them know, "Hey, did you look at the inspection report that we provided?" "Yes." "Okay." So everything on that inspection report had been disclosed already. So he felt like he was much more comfortable knowing where the bottom line was without any surprises. So that really changed the way I thought about pre-listing inspections, and it made me really get a nice story to share with other realtors, other real estate professionals, that it's really eye-opening. And it puts you in a whole different position of not being scared of what's going to be on the inspection report. A lot of realtors are, "I don't want to see it, I don't want to hear it." But in this case, they know exactly what they're selling. The sellers feel confident in saying, "Yes, I'll take that offer for $10,000 more or $10,000 less, either way." But they know what they have. Now, if you take 10 inspectors and you have all 10 of them inspect the exact same home, you're going to get 10 different inspection reports. But the idea of a pre-listing inspection is to find the big-ticket items. The ACs, the roofs, the water heaters that are about to start leaking water, things like that, so that they can either address them or disclose them. So that is really probably the biggest gem that I've found that most realtors run from. I mean, literally, when I say the word pre-listing inspection in a room full of realtors, they scurry like you just turned on the light at Joe's apartment. Anyway, so, but when they sit down and listen to it and really hear the logic behind it and what frustrations it can, not only them, but can save their clients from going through, they really start to warm up to the idea. And we've seen an increase of about 20% in pre-listing inspections just in the last 6 months as we started kind of pushing them more and more.
Well, sharing that with us, and there is an aspect. I mean, no one's going to deny it. No listing agent is going to deny the fact about the pre-listing, and because you're going off of what we are being based off of, or what our conversation is inside with the seller and the seller's knowledge of what is on the property. That's the seller's disclosure. And it can be scary, admittedly, and I think that's what it really steps into. Is like, because we don't know the condition of the property, we only know what the seller's telling us. We don't know what's going to come across that inspection, and then there's a possibility of renegotiation for repairs, right? A seller's contribution, request for repairs to be completed, and that can kill a deal. I mean, they can say no to that. So the pre-listing home inspection, I can see how it is beneficial because, as you were saying, TJ, it is you see, you know what it is. You have an opportunity to fix those items, be it safety issues, and be able to disclose that. So when the buyer comes in, they're gonna know. The realtor is gonna see what's needed. The buyer's gonna know what's needed, and to be able to really provide that offer price that's applicable to that listing or list price or to the disclosure. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the most interesting things I find about it is a lot of times after the buyer reads the report and they look it over, they call our company to come back out and inspect it again, which we're glad to do. We'll come out and inspect that home as many times. I mean, we've inspected the same home 3 times for 3 different buyers in the same month. But for them to look at the inspection report we just did for the seller and ask us to come out and do one for them, I find that kind of comical, actually. But we'll gladly do it because we're representing them at that point, not the seller.
Exactly. Well, that was kind of my point. I was letting you finish that statement because when you are stepping into that space, you are representing the other party, the buyer, and you have a team of 20. So, maybe it's Joe that inspects and then, Bill inspects it as from the buyer's perspective. So you have the space to really create a neutral ground when you're completing those inspections over and over again.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that because that is one of the things I try to do is go ahead and send out a different inspector with a different set of eyes because, like I said, 10 inspectors, 10 different reports. Of course, if those are in the public records on MLS, the other inspectors sometimes will go ahead and just glance at the report, but we don't put a lot of weight in it. We want to go out there with fresh eyes and give the best report we can. So if he happens to find something totally different, we're going to do that. So it makes both sides feel very comfortable that we send out different inspectors.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I know he does that. That's why I mentioned that. Because he has the team and he has the wherewithal to make that happen. So what else about pre-listing? It's it's beneficial for the seller. It is scary to hear that and have that conversation. I see the benefit behind it. So realtors that are watching, consider it, call TJ, have a conversation. And it's being transparent, right? Would you agree it's being transparent?
I think it's the most transparent way you can possibly be, and it really helps on both sides because it helps with the comfort of the seller not being scared about the inspection report coming their way, and the buyer, they feel like they can make an offer with more confidence as well. The nice thing is too on our software, it's designed for, we have that builder repair request list that I'm sure you're familiar with. It's a function on our software where you can go through your report and you can look at every deficiency and you can decide if you want to repair it or whatnot. But it actually will separate the deficiencies and into a repair list. So the seller can use that same function and go down it and say, oh, these cosmetic things I'm definitely going to fix. I don't want any of that on my report. And, the roof, maybe not. We're just going to disclose it, maybe give them a roofing allowance, or just know that we don't have that much room to wiggle and move forward, So that function really makes it quick. They can make a quick list for their contractor. They can email it over to them. The contractor can say, if they don't have a contractor, we know people, people, real estate agents know people, and they can get a quick estimate, get the guys out there to do it for the listing photos or even after, and we'll come back out and take all those things off the report and move on. So I think it's probably one of the most powerful things that listing agents do not do out of fear. It's the fear that it truly is the fear and not wanting to know and not wanting to be responsible for not disclosing. Well, guess what? If you disclose everything that you possibly know about the property, nobody can come back later and say, hey, you knew something you didn't disclose, or you didn't represent us the best you could because you didn't want to know what was on the inspection report. It avoids a lot of potential problems in the future.
That's true because when you're listing a property, again, it's based off of the knowledge that your seller provides you, and that's where we get our information is from the seller and the seller's disclosure. And we ask a lot of questions that ultimately it's the seller that knows, or maybe the seller doesn't even know it exists. That's the beauty of the inspections. So when something happens and it's after close and something pops up, it truly can be just the mere fact of no one knew. you know, and you hope the inspection covers that, but it's not everything. I mean, you don't inspect what's inside the walls.
Exactly. I mean, you only know what you can see,
right.
and along with that, Michelle, I mean, if you haven't been in your attic in the last 5 to 7 years, you probably should get a home inspection whether you're selling your house or not, and a lot of people don't realize that. But, you know, having a home health check every 5 to 7 years, especially, you know, if you have parents that are getting elderly that don't get up in their attics as much, don't know what, it's worth the $300 to $500 to $600 to have somebody come out, give you a report of the condition of your home, so you know exactly the condition of your home, and that can help you later too. If there's a natural disaster, you have a document that shows the condition of your home. And it's always a good idea because you can avoid very costly things that are simple fixes. AC pans that overflow. We catch those all the time. And if you haven't been in your attic in 5 years and you got a rusted out pan, you have no idea until your ceiling caves in and you got a $5,000 problem that could have been fixed for $500. So in addition to the pre-listing, I think the home health check is something that everybody should embrace, because the more you know about your home, the better you're going to take care of it.
Yeah, and you can do the repairs that are needed and keep it up to date, right? It's part of home ownership maintenance. Annual maintenance is part of your budget, or it should be part of your budget. And I like the home health check because all of us, I mean, many of us have elderly parents or older parents or grandparents. And, you know, you visit them once a month, twice a month, you know, once every 6 months. Do you know what's really going on with the home? And really, do they even realize what possibly may be in that attic? So, TJ, thank you again for being with us. We really do appreciate you and your knowledge.
Oh, absolutely. And I want to add one thing.
What is that?
How many times have you gone to your grandmother's house and they go, don't use that bathroom?
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Perfect example. I'm sorry, I just had to put that in. But thank you for having me, Michelle.
Thank you.
And it's been a real pleasure.
Thank you so much. Everyone, we'll be right back after this commercial break.
The best bilingual news, business talk, and technology content 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You are watching Now Media Television, the first bilingual media network in the United States.
El tema está en los países.
Liderazgo y experiencia.
Nuestro país debe meterse en las grandes discusiones y en los grandes debates.
Son parte de una carrera exitosa.
Se juegan dos estados.
Él es referente en el periodismo.
No definen el 2024.
Javier Solórzano te espera cada noche para llevarte las noticias, el análisis y las entrevistas más importantes de lo que sucede día a día en el país.
Este es el referente de la noche.
República H, con Sofía García.
Una república que necesita saber cuál es el camino correcto. En República H te diremos qué pasa en cada rincón del país. ¿Qué pasa en tu estado? ¿Qué hace tu gobernador, presidente municipal o alcalde en materia de seguridad, salud, desarrollo, economía o servicios básicos para atender a su población? Tenemos desplegados más de 70 corresponsales en todo el país y más allá de las fronteras. República H, de lunes a viernes a las 8 de la noche por Heraldo Televisión.
Palitos y Bolitas es la catedral de la explicación. Este programa es la única parada que necesitas para entender los porqués y cómo de todo lo que pasa en México y el mundo. Lunes a viernes, 7 p.m. por Heraldo Televisión.
Thank you to all of our guests, past and present, and to you, our viewers. This show airs Thursdays at 5 p.m., and we want to be your resource for all things real estate. My final request to you is, should you be looking to sell your house or buy a new home, I invite you to allow me to be of service for you and your family. I'm your host, Michelle Briggs, and this is Your Personal Real Estate, and ALZ.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved. The best bilingual news, business talk, and technology content 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You are watching Now Media Television, the first bilingual media network in the United States.
El tema está en los países.
Liderazgo y experiencia.
Nuestro país debe meterse en las grandes discusiones y en los grandes debates.
Son parte de una carrera exitosa.
Juegan dos estados.
Él es referente en el periodismo.
No definen el 2024.
Javier Solórzano te espera cada noche para llevarte las noticias, el análisis y las entrevistas más importantes de lo que sucede día a día en el país.
Este es el referente de la noche.
The best bilingual news, business talk, and technology content 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You are watching Now.
Broadcasting live from Houston, from the space city to the world. You are watching Now Media Television.